This is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for UFC Fight Night 69. Overall card, not too bad actually. I thought the action was actually pretty good just all around. There wasn't like too many like boring fights or grinding fights. Cover Duty Seaver was kind of a grinder. Nick Hine versus Sajewski, or I'll just say Sajewski. I forgot how to pronounce his last name. Wasn't exactly the most fun, but everything else was actually a pretty good fight. My picks weren't too bad. I got 6 out of 11. The 5 I missed were Taylor Lapilus versus Yuta Sasaki, Magomed Mustafaev versus Piotr Holman, Noad Lahat versus Nicholas Backstrom, Arnold Allen versus Alan Omer, and Tatsuya Kawajiri versus Dennis Seaver. Bonuses: Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Jessica Penne got fight of the night, while Tysonov and Arnold Allen received performance of the night. The only thing, I'll say this, my picks are just like alright. I think the only really egregious pick was probably Lapilus versus Sasaki. Which kind of sucks because I was having a discussion with another commenter that watches the show about this fight, you know? And I'm like, and I'm being serious about this. I was really kind of going back and forth on that, and I was like, oh no, Sasaki's a better grappler, you know? But I didn't like what I saw from Sasaki in his last fight against Issa, and I really liked what I saw from Lapilus when he beat Rocky Lee. So I was like, you know, oh man, why did I pick Sasaki? You know, and it's one of those hindsight things. As far as the other picks, you know, I'm not disappointed with how I picked, actually. I actually thought some of them were, you know, like Holman Mustafaev. I kind of thought Holman was kind of edging his way. If I went to the scorecards, I thought Holman would have won, actually. I didn't actually think Noad Lahat should have got the win over Backstrom. Alan Omer also looked like he was on his way to beat Arnold Allen. So I wasn't like totally disappointed with a lot of the ones I missed. Just because if they fought again, I don't know if I'd actually pick again, you know. I'd pick the opposite, except for Lapilus versus Sasaki. So I am kind of hedging there. But it's the truth. You know, you watch the fights and it's like, yeah. You know, these guys were doing well up until they lost. You know, except for Lahat versus Backstrom. I'll get to that. Let's get started. Joanna Jędrzejczyk defeated Jessica Penne by TKO in the 3rd round. I mean, who's beating Joanna Jędrzejczyk at this point, you know? If she can get by Gadelha again and, like, say, you know, it won't take too long for, like, a Jessica Aguilar to reach contention. And if Aguilar wins against Gadelha, then she might fight. Then she'll probably fight Jędrzejczyk. With that said, it's like that's like the 2 best they got. You know, you gotta wait on like Paige Van Zandt, you know, to really round out her game. And in Invicta, Alexa Grasso. That's the only other fighter that I think can really challenge Jędrzejczyk would be Alexa Grasso. Like, in the stand-up, too. I would love to see that fight. I would just pay money to see that fight. I think Jędrzejczyk would ultimately win, but, like, Grasso's pretty damn good. And there's, like, Marina Moroz as well. I mean, the story of the fight really was just Jędrzejczyk just beating Penne up wherever the stand-up took place. At range, doing front kicks to the face, elbows up and close. Her elbows are getting so devastating, you know? Punches, long punches. Then with Jędrzejczyk, too, she has better technique than most guys. Like, most guys in the UFC. Quite honestly. I mean, I just don't know who's beating her at this point. Her takedown defense is just on point. And she makes her opponent pay for taking him down. She'll always sneak in a little elbow just to tell her opponent, hey, takedowns aren't free against her. You know, takedown attempts aren't free against her. You know, Penny, by the third round when she was getting hit, she was turning around. You know, excuse me. She was actually turning around. I thought it was a fine stoppage, even though she was standing. She was just kind of covering up against the fence and doing nothing with it. The problem with Penny is, like, if she can't get the fight to the ground, she has no pop in her strikes. She just wasn't gonna win there, and man, did she get bloody! Oh man, that was, you know, Young Jacek brutalized Carla Esparza, and she brutalized Jessica Penne. I will say this: both of them are relatively on the small side of 115. Kind of wondering if some of these other more athletic well, you know, Carla's not a bad athlete or anything like that. It just, I don't know who can match Young Jacek in the striking. I mean, the only person I can match that can probably do something against her is Claudia Gadelha, just because she's so physical and really physical about getting the takedown. Striking wise, though, Young Jacek's just, you know, so much better, and she's becoming such a better clinch fighter too. You know, knees and elbows when she's in close. That's the thing. It's just pretty one-sided beatdown for Joanna champion Young Jacek. It has to be said with Young Jacek too, man. She is the champion that a new division like women's strawweight needs. I mean, honest truth, I'll say this right now, in my personal opinion, she should be on pay-per-view, or at least big Fox cards, because she's money. I watch any of her interviews, watch her interviews, ultra charismatic, you know, but not arrogant, has an interesting style. You know, like dress style. I mean, she's really into sneakers, for example, and what she has is swag. I don't know how else to say it, but she has swag. She just has this swagger about her that is magnetic. You know, it's very charismatic. You know, after the fight, she goes up. She's like, "Oh, who's next?" Post-fight interview, she says some of the coolest one-liners. Oh, you know, like Gadelha, you know, black belt, you know, I beat them. You know, it's like, no one beat me. Nothing, you know, it's like, I stayed champion for a long time. Then she has the accent, which is like, you know, pretty endearing as well. And it's just like, she's the full package. Really, she is. She has a combination of looks, unique charisma, and a very fan-friendly fighting style as well. I definitely think she is on to bigger and better things. Unfortunately, I think there's always going to have a steady stream of fresh challengers, but I don't see anyone truly threatening her. It could also be champion bias in the sense, because the division's so new. And she is wrecking a lot of fighters, but she's also wrecking flawed fighters. So that's one thing to take into consideration. She almost always has a significant stand-up advantage over her opposition. She's actually fighting a lot of her wins. Juliana Lima. You know, I mean, yeah, she's Jew-Thai. But if you watch her fight, she's a grinder. Gadelha, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Esparza, wrestler. Penny, jiu-jitsu practitioner. You know, I mean, what I'm saying is they're primarily grapplers. So, it's not like, I don't think Tesha Torres beats her or anything like that, or really challenges her, but at the same time, I'd like to just see how she does against a striker, just because I haven't seen it. You know? I think she beats everyone. You know, I think the only one that can really challenge her is probably Gadelha, maybe Jessica Aguilar, just because she's well-rounded enough, and Alexa Grasso. with more experience down the line, Jamie Moyle, I think she's going to just be beasting if she ever gets signed to the UFC. Because she can do everything. She can strike from the inside, from range, and she can wrestle. Who else in Invicta? Caroline Kowalkovic versus Young Jacek would just be interesting to me. Miski Inoue would probably get pretty beat up by Young Jacek, but I think she'll always push forward against her at the very least. Joanne Calderwood would probably lose against Young Jacek because her defense. Calderwood's defense, as much as I love Calderwood, but her defense is terrible. Tessa Torres just doesn't have enough finishing ability, and I think she's just gonna give too many chances for Young Jacek to win. I mean, maybe Tessa Torres outpoints her, but it's kind of doubtful. Paige Van Zandt just needs more time. She's not technically sound yet. As far as who Young Jacek should fight next, it's probably gonna be like Marina Moroz or Tessa Torres. Just because I can't think of who else. Maybe she fights Randa Marcos. Marcos is coming off a good win too. But, the only person that has something of a win streak is Tessa Torres. I'd probably want to see like Torres fights like Moroz, and then the winner of that gets Young Jacek or something like that. And it sounds like Young Jacek's probably going to take some time off. Also helps Young Jacek, she fights often, She fought 4 times in 11 months, Fights often. That is also very good for Young Jacek. With Penne, there's no shortage of strawweights for her to fight. Just, who's ever won the higher profile, good mid, maybe like a Rose Namajunas versus Penne. Calderwood's fighting Rollins already. Herrig, Penne, if they want to go there. I think they're friends though. Who else? Gosh, it's so hard for me to think. Ansarov, Penne, Azing Daly, Penne. I suppose I'm just kind of off the top of my head. I can't really think. They'll lose of Aguilar versus Gadelia versus Penne would work as well. So after that, Tatsuya Kawajiri defeated Dennis Seaver by unanimous decision. Seaver did well in that first round, man. He was defending those signal leg takedowns pretty ably, and I thought he was just winning on the standout. It wasn't until he did get taken down, he just couldn't get back to his feet, got mounted against Kawajiri. I didn't really feel like Kawajiri did a lot of damage, though. I thought he just did a lot more takedown control. Seaver didn't really allow him to do much damage to him. It was a good victory and a much needed victory for Kawajiri. It's his prospects in the division at this point would be something of a gatekeeper with some name value at this point. It just, I can see him get a couple wins in the UFC, but against some of these guys, especially that are coming up, if he fights like Chas Skelly or Mirsad Bektik tomorrow, dude, I would pick Skelly or like Bektik to beat Kawajiri. Pretty good. Some of these up and comers at featherweight are just beast. Honest truth. But that's kind of what I honestly just use both of these guys as something of like gatekeeper types at this point. So there's not much I can say about the fight. It's just Seaver in the first round defended takedowns, and I thought was outpointing Kawajiri on the feet. But Kawajiri managed, once he got one takedown on Seaver, he always had Seaver on his back. More or less. I think Seaver managed to scrabble out a couple times. But for the most part, he had so much time and top control. There's not much else to say about the fight, though. It's nice seeing him. Kawajiri's really good at like passing to like mount, though. He's just really good at that. And he's going to be trouble for a lot of fighters, you know, moving forward. You know, that can't defend his takedown and that can't hang with him on the ground. But, like I said, I think moving forward for both these guys, they're both older too. Like, Cardu's 37, Seaver's like 36. Should both be just more gatekeeper types in the featherweight division at this point. Next fight after that, Peter Sabota defeated Steve Kendi by rear naked choke in the first round. Yeah, Sabota, man, you know, like second in the UFC and just a good, well-rounded fighter. You know, the guy can strike, strikes well, he grapples well too. You know, I mean, there isn't anything that he does badly. And against a newcomer like Steve Kendi, who's just like, he's alright, you know, you're not going to beat Peter Sabota. It's just not going to happen. It's going to take like a good, you know, it takes like a good, solid fighter to beat Peter Sabota at this point. He's just doing good work in the UFC, you know, just a real workman-like fighter. Nothing too flashy, but everything is effective. You know, it's efficient, it's effective. The guy can strike, the guy can wrestle, the guy's good on the ground. You know, it's a game. A good, solid fighter. Like, he's just that good hand to have in the UFC. You know, as far as next fights go, I mean, if you want to give him some of the blue-collar fighters or something like that, like a Court McGee, Kenny Robertson, Sultan Alaev. Tough one right here, Claudio Enrique Silva. That guy makes fights ugly. If you want to give him guys like that, you can, but I'll just give him more like mid to lower tier guys of the division. Steve Kendi, just more lower tier guys of the division. I don't know if he was just caught up in the bright lights or something, but he looked like a deer in the headlights there, man. I mean, he was just getting outstruck, and he just got out-grappled rather easily, too. I just don't know if Steve Kendi has any real prospects in the UFC at this point. Next fight, that Nick Hine defeated Lucas, Savetsky? I'll say Sajewski by unanimous decision. I mean, sort of the fight really was just a movement of Nick Hine. It's nice to know that he's fighting out of a good camp with Tiger Muay. And it looks like Roger Huerta's really putting in some work, man. Nick Hine, you know, cornering Nick Hine, cornering Taisimov. Who else did he corner? Cornered some other guys here too, you know. I think like it's a total of like 4 guys. And Tiger Muay's solid camp, you know. They have Zubaira Tukugov, Marbek Taisimov, Mike Swick, I think, is there. Recently retired. Gosh, I forget his name now. Guy with the harrow. Oh, jeez. Totally forgot his name. Man, I can actually picture him in my head, and I know about that. I remember the harrow, but I cannot put a name to his face at the moment. He trains there too. Yeah. So it's a good win for Hine. You know, it's just good to see him improve his stand-up, and actually, you know, he's a judo guy, but he's showing more of his stand-up these days. You know, he's a good, solid fighter. I wouldn't call him like much of a prospect. I think he's like 30, 31. He's good for these international cards. He's great if he fights out of in any card in Berlin. He's a solid fighter. I mean, I don't see that much prospect for him in the UFC per se. I think he's good enough to stay in the UFC, but you know, his thing to me is like a mid-level fighter. But good performance here. Not the most aesthetically pleasing, but it was very smart, especially since Lucas was just going forward in a straight line a lot of times, and Hine is using circular movement. So good performance from Nick Hine there. It's more like mid to lower tier guys at DSC for that. Okay, on to the prelims. Makwan Amir Khani defeated Marcio Fullen by rear naked choke in the first round. I mean, the story of the fight really wasn't the fight. It was just a post-fight interview where he's thanking his mom, and like everyone was in tears, you know, including the viewers. More to the point with Amir Khan, he trains out of All Stars. He's a good wrestler. He's a good grappler. He's obviously improving his stand-up. But the thing with him is this guy's charisma, man. This guy oozes charisma. You know, I said that about like young Jacek. Amir Khan, man, he's just a guy. You know, you want to see him win. He's, you know, seems like a nice guy. Loves his mom very much. I kind of wonder if they're gonna, as far as his prospects in the UFC, he's a good prospect though. You know, only 26, has some really good wins in the regional scene. He beat like he's the only guy to beat Tom Duquesnoy, who's like one of the top prospects in MMA. And he's training out of a good camp, so he actually has some pretty good prospects, and he's only 26, so and he's athletic, so he's got some really good prospects in the UFC. I'm just kind of wondering how they push him moving forward, because they started with Andy Ogle, who's like a lower tier guy, and now it's like Masio Fullen, who's pretty much like on the same level of like Andy Ogle, if not worse, you know. So it's like, dude, they keep giving him like Ultimate Fighter rejects / yeah, you know, like, because yeah, Ultimate Fighter Latin America or something, like some really lower level guys, or are they gonna like start giving him some like pretty good competition moving forward, you know? I'd like to see him fight Pepe. That'd be a pretty cool fight, just because they're both very like charismatic guys. They both kind of like go forward and kind of just throw everything against the wall to see what sticks type of fighters. So I think that'd be a pretty cool fight actually. It's a pretty big step up for Amir Khan though. But one that I'd like to, you know, I don't think would be the worst thing for him. If not him, maybe someone like a Feely. I know Feely's coming off a loss though to Pepe. So you know, someone that's coming off a win. Who's our mid-level talent? Jeez, I'm trying to kind of think. If I want to kind of give him a step up, you can give him like an Elkins type of guy. Maybe you want to keep him away from like those really good prospects like Skelly, Bektik, Moicano. There are other really good prospects in featherweight. Those are the only ones I can think of that are like just like awesome prospects. But yeah, I'm a bit curious to see who they give Amir Khan next. Fullen, just more lower level guys in the UFC. I don't know if he's ready for UFC level at this point. You know, he can maybe beat more Ultimate Fighter Latin America guys, but otherwise, I don't know if he can beat anyone that's remotely decent in the UFC. Next round, that Marbek Taisima defeated Alan Patrick by TKO in the second round. Patrick was really unorthodox, but super reckless, and it cost him. Taisima, you know, his takedown defense is improving. He did get grinded down by Prazeres, but like I said, those guys, those hulking Brazilian top control guys, they are like the toughest guys for prospects to beat, and they're like, you know, they're just those guys that eventually any lightweight's gonna have to pass, whether it's Leonardo Santos, Gleison Tibau is like the main one, Master Nduba, Prazeres, Leonardo Santos, any of those guys, Elias Silverio, any of those guys, they're just really hard for prospects to beat. So, you know, it's no surprise that like he lost to like a Prazeres, but it looks like he's really working on his takedown defense. His striking is just on point. The guy's super accurate, and he hits hard. He's definitely a talent to watch out for. A good prospect in his own right. Just more like mid-level guys. Maybe he should fight those hulking Brazilian top control grinders. Next, see if he can finally handle that type of competition. Alan Patrick, just more lower to mid-tier guys of the division for him. Next, right after that, Arnold Allen defeated Alan Omer by guillotine in the 3rd round. Pretty back and forth fight. I kind of thought that Alan Omer was ultimately edging out the fight until that submission happened. You know, good win for Arnold Allen. The guy, I do like a couple things about him. He does strike in combination. He counters in combination. He can wrestle well. He has a good clinch game, and he has an overall good grappling game. Definitely something of a come-from-behind victory. I felt that Allen, while it was a pretty back-and-forth fight, I ultimately felt that Alan Omer was winning the fight, in my opinion. I don't know how the judges saw it. But, yeah, good win, you know. I'm curious to see his prospects moving forward. He's actually a pretty highly touted prospect, and Alan Omer's not a bad prospect himself. Both of them are actually featherweights too. So once again, 2 other really good featherweights here, featherweight prospects here. And actually, Backstrom and Lahat are actually featherweight prospects too. So now, yeah. But anyways, good one for Allen. Is this a 2-fight losing streak for Omer? Omer's a good fighter though, you know. I hope they don't cut him. He's a good fighter, you know. Both of his fights have been really close. Just more lower to mid-tier guys at the division for both. Next fight, I thought Noad Lahat defeated Nicholas Backstrom by majority decision. I personally had the fight a draw. I just thought that Lahat got a 10-8 on the 2nd round, and Backstrom had the 1st round and the 3rd. I'm actually kind of surprised because, especially with the back control that Backstrom had, I was kind of surprised to see 20. I didn't see how, at the very least, I didn't really see how Lahat won the fight. Maybe I need to rewatch it again. I don't know, but I thought that Backstrom had rounds 1 and 2, and Lahat got round 2. Or Backstrom had rounds 1 and 3, and Lahat got round 2, and 2 is arguably a 10-8 round. One thing, you know, it's kind of unfortunate with Backstrom because he was a very highly touted prospect coming into the UFC. He was seen as a blue chip prospect. Then he lost to Wilkinson, and he lost here. One thing about Backstrom, man, his stand-up defense is terrible. Man, was this guy getting blasted by it like Lahat. And then he got knocked out by Wilkinson. He needs to fix that fast. Backstrom's ground game, though, really good. That reversal he got in that 1st round, great stuff, you know. And the way he was able to take the Lahat's back, really good stuff there, too, you know. But Lahat, stand-up's improving. He has some good judo. Really high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I don't think I've ever picked one of his fights in the UFC correctly, unfortunately, but I gotta start doing so. Smart, you know, lower to mid. Lahat needs to step up in competition. I'd say, you know what, give him Kevin Souza. You know, give him who was coming off a win. You know, give him Moicano, you know? Give him Skelly. Some of those really better prospects out there. If you want to go back to Lahat, that wouldn't be too bad. I think he's on a good, you know, Lahat's on a good 2-fight win streak now. Backstrom, though, man, oh yeah. And I kind of wonder if there's something of a mental game with him, too. He seems, there's something about his demeanor that seems he's really almost full of himself, and full of himself as far as his abilities is concerned. You can even kind of see that in the cage sometimes, you know, when he fights. The hands down against Wilkinson, goes to that teep kick and just gets blasted, right? And then there's the part where he's just getting, I think it's the 2nd round, he's just getting beat up by Lahat. He's on his back. Lahat's standing over him, and he's like daring him to go into, daring him to go in his guard. It's like something about Backstrom that like I can't help but feel he's a bit full of himself. I remember in the post fight against Wilkinson, he just Hardy said something, and Backstrom seemed to have like taken some major offense to that. So I kind of wonder if Backstrom's kind of a head case, not in the sense that he has poor fight IQ, but he kind of thinks that he's better than he really is, and it causes him to make mistakes in the cage or make bad decisions in the cage. Like I said, like, I'm much better than this Wilkinson guy. I'll just fight with my hands down, throw a sloppy teep kick. Oh, you got knocked out. Oh, cool. Oh, this guy's standing over me and he just beat me up. Standing over me, I'm on my back. I'm just gonna dare him and like kind of try and taunt the guy. It's like, why are you doing that? Like, I don't understand it. So definitely something to look out for with Backstrom. And if he wants to get back on the horse, he needs to fight some lower level guys. And what the problem with that is? Mike Wilkinson was supposed to be that lower level guy. Wilkinson knocked him out. So I don't know what it is about Backstrom. He needs to work on his defense and just other things about his game. His grappling's really good though. But yeah, with Lahat, wouldn't say blue chip prospect or anything like that. I think he's 30 or 31 at this point. So but good fighter, really solid. Striking's improved. I like what I see from the guy. Next fight after that, Scott Askham defeated Antonio Dos Santos Jr. by TKO in the first round. Okay, so here's the thing with middleweight. Okay, it lacks great prospects. I think it lacks true blue chip prospects. Askham could be a blue chip prospect, and maybe his loss against Magnus Settenblad was just a little too much too soon. As his first fight in the UFC, he also really rocked Settenblad in that fight at one point in the fight, 1 or 2 points in the fight. And Settenblad's just really tough, I'm kind of hoping, because like I said, I'm kind of hoping that Askham becomes like that blue chip prospect, just because too many guys become the rank and file of middleweight. It's kind of like you get a guy like Sam Alvey who can get a 3-fight win streak over like Cesar Mutanch and some other guys. But they're all like lower to other rank and file guys. Or like Cesar Mutanch, he was like coming up a little bit, looking pretty good, and then he gets blasted, and he's now just like a mid-level guy to the point where like he's getting down to welterweight. And Alvey, he lost his fight against Tom Watson, but is on a 3-fight win streak over mid-level guys. So it's kind of like the mid-level, and Javier Natel's in a win streak, most recently being Uriah Hall. This guy lost to Ed Herman. The point I'm trying to make is I don't know if Scott Askham is gonna be in that rank and file of middleweight. It's tough to say where he's at. I'm hoping that he becomes the top 10 guy. He's good. He's young. He's tall. He has a hell of an inside striking game. Clinch and just close quarter striking. For a guy so tall too. He uses uppercuts really well, short hooks. His knees are devastating. That has to be like the best weapon of his game. He's a tough guy. His stand-up defense could probably use some work. Takedown defense looks to have improved, but Dos Santos Jr. isn't like a takedown threat. At this point with Antonio Dos Santos Jr., he's 2 losses in a row, both losses by like some form of TKO. But he's a fun action fighter. I'd keep him in the UFC. Just put him in some more fun action fights for him. With Scott Askham, let's hope it's onward and upward, because Middleweight's getting better. It's the best it's ever been right now. With you got Weidman on the top 5. All those guys are killers, man. Yoel Romero, Luke Rockhold, Vitor, of course Weidman's up there, Machida's up there, Jacare's up there. Then you got the guys like Kennedy, Musasi. It's as good as it's ever been, but there aren't any like true blue chip prospects really coming up the division. I think the best middleweight outside the UFC right now that has top 10 potential is Halsey. Brandon Halsey easily is the best prospect, middleweight prospect, and a true blue chip prospect too. Hopefully Askham can reach like the top 10. More mid-level guys for him. You know, I just named a bunch of guys he can fight, you know, whether it's the Ed Hermans, Sam Alvey. Well, guys coming off wins, I'd say like Rafa Natal or like Sam Alvey or something like that would be good for Askham. I think Alvey's already fighting someone though. Next round, that Magomed Mustafa defeated Piotr Hallman by doctor stoppage in the second round. You know, this fight was pretty back and forth. I felt that the name of the game was that Mustafa was getting better, the cleaner and harder strikes, but I felt that Hallman was grinding away better. You know, I thought Hallman was getting hit with some pretty big shots, but I think he ultimately won the first round with like his top control. And then the second round, he was getting Mustafa against a cage, you know, just hitting some short knees and whatnot, and just grinding against him. I thought he was kind of on his way to possibly winning a decision. But it is a good one for Mustafa, and he's actually seen as a blue chip prospect. He is big for lightweight. Just a strong guy. His takedown defense needs some work. His offensive takedown ability is good. I don't like that he's more of a single striker, but that's very typical of the Sambo guys. It's tough to say where his prospects are in the division. I mean, he's not Habib Nurmagomedov, for example. But, you know, he's good. He's solid. And this is a very good win. Piotr Hallman is tough. The guy was still willing to fight, despite the damage that he took. He is a very game opponent. Just more lower to mid-tier guys in the division for both. I think Hallman's actually, I don't know if he's coming off a win or a loss. No, he's coming off, well, this is a loss, and before that, he got caught for, he got a suspension for something. So, I don't know if they keep Hallman, but he's a very good fighter. I hope the UFC does keep him, actually. And finally, Taylor Lapilus defeated Yuta Sasaki by TKO in the second round. Lapilus looks like a good prospect, and he definitely has top 10 potential. The guy's only like 23 years old. This is like my one egregious pick here. Sasaki's stand-up, man, it is just terrible. The guy just throws single kicks, tries to move around in a circle in the same direction at all times, you know? He got blasted. Sasaki's game really is just grappling, but he's not the greatest wrestler. It's not gonna, you know, at this point, I was pretty high on Sasaki when he came into the UFC, but at this point, I don't think he'll get too many wins in the UFC at this point. A lot of guys can outstrike him, and it looks like some guys, some of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts can out-grapple him too. Lapilus, though, I like what I see from his game. I'm definitely looking forward to see his prospects in the division. He's a well-rounded guy, you know. His takedown defense is good. He can actually, most of his wins are by submission. However, his striking has greatly improved. He throws straight punches. He has good timing with his strikes. He doesn't overextend himself too much. Really well-rounded game here, you know. I like what I see from him. Just more mid to lower tier guys at the division for him. I believe he moved down to bantamweight here. Looked good. You know, this is definitely a weight class that could use him. Bantamweight is actually one of the thinner divisions of the UFC at this point. So yeah, good one for Lapilus. I'm curious to see where he goes moving forward. So that's it for my post-fight analysis for UFC Fight Night 69. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for You. Thank you guys very much.